Privyet, it's Influx, and welcome back to another episode of Level 25. I'm joined here this evening by none other than Savage Octagon. Savage, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on the podcast, Influx.
Good, I'm so excited to have you. So, I think that a lot of people in this community know who you are. We hear your voice on the uh, tournament streams as a commentator. We see you as a player. Uh, how did you get into Dr. Mario, and why do you play it?
All right, so I think I have an origin story similar to a lot of people's. I mean, I played it as a kid, and I was the product of one of those Dr. Mario moms, like Sarah Sparkle was talking about. I think there are a lot of moms out there in the 90s that were playing Tetris and getting their and Dr. Mario and getting their kids to do it too.
Mm.
I lost touch with the game for a long time until I read an article that a friend of mine wrote in a tech blog about emulators. And I decided to download an emulator and I got a bunch of ROMs. And one of the ROMs that I picked up was Dr. Mario. And I played it so much that I had to delete the emulator off of my computer.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then, and then I was like, okay, now I have free time. And so I downloaded the emulator again, and I played so much Dr. Mario again that I had to delete the emulator a second time. And then finally, third time's the charm, I managed to manage my time. And so I just kept playing. And I think for me, it's a way, surprisingly enough, that it relieves some stress. Somehow the puzzle facet of it and making decisions, it often takes my mind off of other things that might be bothering me, even though the game in and of itself can be pretty stressful.
Yeah, I totally get that. I find it very relaxing as well. It's nice to have a somewhat straightforward problem presented to you when like the rest of life can have some unclear situations. The objective is clear with Dr. Mario. You match colors and stack numbers.
Yep, and just, I'll mention Sarah Sparkle again. You just go fast. She likes to say, just go fast.
Just go fast. So, when you aren't playing Dr. Mario, you are a teacher, yes?
I am. I'm a math teacher.
Do your students know that you play Dr. Mario?
Um, no, I think I might have let it slip last year that I played to some seniors who graduated, but they like didn't know what Dr. Mario was, so they didn't really care.
Ah.
I think that some of my students would be pretty surprised to know that I stream on Twitch and that I do this kind of commentary. I think they would find it funny, but also on brand. I think they would go, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense for you."
So, from the sound of it, you're trying not to let them know, I assume, because you don't want a bunch of students raiding your stream.
I guess so. I mean, like I would just be worried about dropping an F-bomb, you know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, yeah.
I keep it pretty tame, but at the same time, Bruno, like the kids are always listening.
I can see that. I can see that. Well, uh, I'm a little disappointed that you haven't made any new converts in the class, just bring the NES in one day.
That'd be awesome. I could try to start a club and get some recruits going.
So, a somewhat recent announcement that JB Henry made was the institution of a silver bracket to the Dr. Mario Monthly, um, where the regular bracket was just 16 players. There would now be a sort of JV bracket, if you will, of the 16 players who don't get to make it to the top 16. I was curious what your thoughts are about that. Do you like that?
I do. I do. I think it's really great because we've got some people that been practicing and they've been getting better, and the level of quality of say the top 16 has grown so much that
Mm-hmm.
it's much harder to get in than it was when I started. And I think that, you put a lot of effort in, you put in your 30-minute qualifier, and I think you should be able to play. And I think there's something really exciting about playing those level blocks with people in a one-on-one competitive way outside of checkup. So I think it's just a really great way to get more people into the into the community and feeling good and feeling like they get to compete. I think it's going to take a little more time, so the logistics of it they have to be figured out. But
Hmm.
I think it's just really great to open it up to more people.
I think that it changes the mission statement of Dr. Mario Monthly a little bit, perhaps altering it back towards what it was originally when there weren't even 16 players to fill out the bracket. Everyone got to play. And recently it's become kind of this very stiff competition for a top spot. But I I think that having more the opportunity for the players who were kind of at that cutoff point for them to get to play every month. I think that is a great thing for the game, and new players knowing that they can just kind of hop in and maybe even get some matches in for the monthly. Uh, Hopefully, that would attract some new players and encourage them as they improve to maybe try to make it to that golden bracket.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, especially, someone was saying to me that they felt like the competition this month seemed really crazier than normal. And it is true that we're seeing a lot of people getting onto level 17 during that 30-minute qualifier. And that's over half the bracket is going to have done that when all is said and done. And that's a really crazy standard. I mean, it's awesome. But it's not something that's necessarily achievable if you've just picked up the game or you've only practiced for like a month. And the standard has gone up so far. If you look at the bracket, the the second round matchups just all seem ridiculous so far. That like Titans are just gonna fall. So I just think opening it up seems like a great idea.
Yeah, I have been looking at the second round matchups because I'm wondering who I'm going to run into if I do make it that far, and it's gonna be a previous winner of the whole of the championship for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's really crazy. I mean, ugh, it kind of makes me want to barf looking at it. Just like, I think a couple of months ago, you could be in the top half of the bracket and look at your opponent and say, "Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure I can beat them." But I don't think you can say that anymore. You're looking at people and you're saying, "Wow, I think even if I'm in the top half, I think this opponent of mine could definitely beat me." And so it's just it's exhilarating
Yeah,
and crazy.
yeah, that's definitely a function of the times overall improving. The spread between first and last place is I I haven't done the math, but I think it's a lot closer than it's been in the past.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way.
So for these players who are looking at the silver bracket or maybe even the bottom of the golden bracket, uh, players who maybe just picked up the game recently and are looking to improve, what are some of the ways that you would recommend for them to improve?
Hmm. Great question. I'll take a couple of case studies of players who have added certain things into their routine and then gotten a lot better because of it. So, for example, I think that there's these sort of levels of getting better, and they can often be attributed to very specific little things. So, the first thing, and it may sound obvious and stupid, but the first thing is actually learning how to spin with both buttons as opposed to just one. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like
yeah,
both A and B. Because I think that when you first come in, you and play, you might actually be using just one button to spin. And actually, Betty B was someone who had that going on. She only knew how to spin with one button, and yet she was still doing very, very well. And as soon as she got the hang of spinning with both, her play massively improved. So I would say one of the things is go out there and just practice with both buttons and misdrop a lot and misflip a lot, but get it down. I think that's the number one thing. I think a number two thing is so Dimwit taught me this one, and I think incorporating this really helped me. He talks about something called a theme shape. when we did a stream together where he broke down a PB of mine. And the theme shape was a virus and then another virus of the same color separated by two spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And the key was to recognize where those were so that you could minimize the number of pill halves that you were doing, as opposed to sort of doing two separate verticals with those viruses. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about theme shapes really boosted my play. I think it was just one of the things that really helped me bump up. And then I think the third one is learning to incorporate horizontals into your play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are two people that are outstanding at this now who weren't when they first started. Those are Swang and Floyd. So Floyd is a really fast player, really straightforward as well, but started to incorporate more horizontals into his play. And now, I mean, you saw him, he won the tournament by diversifying his strategy, and that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also seen Swang do that and climb the ranks. And you kind of watch him, you can see him now holding out for the plays that will get him less of that drop time and more horizontal because the horizontal animation clear is faster than the vertical one. So it saves you just like a tiny fraction. And he's been getting so good at doing that. So I think these players who are case studies and incorporating those little things, I think players can look out for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said about the theme shapes and the horizontals as well. I think the plays you're trying to do are uh, clearing two viruses. Uh, like when the game isn't giving you doubles, finding out how to uh, reimagine those doubles, and seeing two viruses of the same color side by side as a double rather than two verticals. Just reimagining your play like that.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Something I've often said helped me improve, and I think helps everyone improve, is watching other players, specifically those who might be better than you. Um, there are lots of people streaming on Twitch. I know Frank streams very frequently now that he's back, and kind of this active watching strategy of every time the pill is falling down, imagine where you would put it, and whenever there's dissonance between where you put it and where Frank's ends up putting it, ask questions like, why did he do that, and maybe even pause the video and try to see what the plan is. Um, that can be a more complicated learning strategy, I think, but I've found it very productive in my own learning curve. Um, Also, with a lot of free time, like I had at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's my issue is the free time issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I put on Twitch, I usually put it on for the sort of radio podcast facet of it. Like for example, someone might be chatting with their viewers and listening to music or whatever, and playing Dr. Mario, and I might be thinking, oh, this is a background thing, this is a friend talking, kind of thing. So I'm not always watching their play as closely as I should, and I really know that to take my game to the next level, that's something that I want to do.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong, I'd say, either with just sticking around to support the community members you like. And I will often do that myself. I feel sort of bad because I um, will put a streamer on as I'm falling asleep, so my chat engagement just kind of trickles off until I'm no longer there. It's not because you're boring, it's because it's relaxing.
There you go. I mean, at least you're not, sort of lobbing a conversational hand grenade into chat and then disappearing. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about pineapples on pizza? Ooh, let me leave. Let me fall asleep. It's like, you're just trailing off gently. It's fine.
Yes, yeah. Um so back to the matter of ways to improve. I think that one of my favorite parts of this community is these brand name clears that we have. The Fat Log, the Lightning Bolt MF. Uh, and one of the in addition to just creating engagement and fun in jokes with everyone, I think it can also help you recognize what kind of clears you need to be going for. Like the fat log is a move you see often for a reason. It's efficient. It is a fast clear, and so trying to like not only make those plays, but I like to call them out myself. Uh, just that extra bit of dopamine, you know.
Can I say my favorite one?
Oh yeah. What is your favorite clear?
Awesome, awesome. Okay. My favorite clear, and it should be evident from my emote, is the sweet tea. Um,
Oh
my
yes.
yeah, my sister Goose was on my stream. She kept saying sweet tea, and I was like, "Ooh, is this ever gonna catch on? Like lightning bolt or fat log?" And I kept saying it enough, and then I had the emote, and now we say it on stream, and it's been really fun. And it's hilarious too because even if you come up with a term, there can be add-ons or sort of adjustments to it. So have the sweetest of teas. So for example, like a bigger tea or maybe a fat log with a tea.
Yeah.
Or you can also have artificially sweetened tea where it's not all viruses that are being cleared in both directions, but
Uh
just garbage and viruses.
I've not
I
heard
like
that
to
one
say that
yet.
one. That's not caught on. That's mostly in my mind. But then like lightning rod is a thing that people say as well, but it's mostly Packy saying lightning rod, silly peasants, sort of like to be different from lightning bolt MF. So it's really fun to make these things up. I
Mhm.
agree. There was one that I said in stream. I said ziggurat at log in a competition because it looked a little like a ziggurat.
Yeah.
And JB was just like, "You really just wanted to say the word ziggurat, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes. Can you blame me?" And then, we just moved on. But it's a nice piece of ownership for the community that you can like call a move something and then other people will start doing it too, and it's funny and it's them are food related.
Mhm.
So that's really cool.
I've got one that I am trying to popularize. It's I wonder if it hasn't caught on because it's not the best move possible, but it's a good move I think. Anyway, imagine you're at the bottom of your board. You have a red, a space, and a yellow all on the bottom row, and
Okay,
you're
I'm drawing this. Okay.
and you've got this a red yellow burst. You stack the first red yellow with the yellow to the left, the second with the yellow to the right, and
Oh,
the
oh
third
yeah.
with the yellow facing upwards. So it clears the red vertically and then the yellow horizontally after the drop. I call that a lotus clear, and I think that's a great name. But as I am often not in the weekly checkup and I haven't made it on commentary yet, I haven't gotten to flex it.
Oh wow. As soon as you started describing that with the red yellow burst, I knew exactly what you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about. And oh, that's another way that people can get better is understanding how the bursts work and the RNG
Mm.
um, to deal with that. But ooh, Lotus Clear sounds so meditative, you know?
Yes.
So gentle. But I definitely think that you're gonna have to get into the weekly checkups more stuff to catch on. Like it's got to have a lot of people hearing it. Although now with this podcast, probably a lot of people will. So Lotus Clear, everyone. I'll try to use it on stream if I see it.
All right. If I'm there, I'll call it out. But
Excellent, excellent.
it's not the fastest clear. I don't see, and it's a very situational thing. I don't often see people do it in a speed run setting, but I do.
Yeah, I think that you're right in that it really works at the bottom of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and only in certain situations, but it's definitely a thing that if you know about the game and you know about the burst situation, you can do it that way, and I've often done that. So that's cool. I'm glad someone else realizes that too.
So another piece of advice that I gave myself, and I still give myself all the time, is to make bad moves quickly as a way to improve. Well, specifically in the context of you're given a pill and you don't see an ideal placement for it, and you just kind of let it drift with its natural falling speed into whatever place it lands. Um, and that's when I often tell myself, bad move quickly, just to like slam it down somewhere, make half of it efficient, and just clear the garbage later. Because when I'm looking at these runs of the players who are lower on the leaderboards, you see a lot of indecision, and I think there's this idea that there's a perfect solution to every pill placement, which may or may not be true. I don't know where you fall on that debate. I think that a bad move quickly can just kind of keep you moving and, you know, hold on until there are better pills.
So I'm hearing a new term, the BMQ. Bad move quickly.
Bad move
Um,
quickly.
I don't know. It might not. That might not be as good, but I definitely agree with you. Like if you don't see it right away, I think the best thing is like slam it down, throw it away, and maybe if it's still a bad pill in a couple of pills, you can just stack them on top of each other. 'Cause that happens. Like everybody's run into that situation where they get a blue yellow and they literally have an all red top line
Hmm.
in a good way to drop something horizontally. I think I agree with you about the indecision of more beginner players, and I also think that you see inexperienced players locking themselves into one particular move, right? So they say, okay, I see this red and this yellow next to each other, and the only thing that I'm going to play anywhere near them is a red yellow pill.
Hmm.
And so I'm just going to hold out until I get the red yellows that I want. And then that makes you throw garbage other places where it's not a good idea, or you miss things. And and so you see some of the best players holding out, but they hold out for these sort of magical big brain moves. When you're first starting out, I do agree that you make that bad move quickly and just focus on another place.
Hmm.
Don't get too locked in.
So you sort of touched on this earlier. Uh, what do you think you personally need to do to become a better player?
Ah, yeah, so Mr. Octagon and I talk about this a lot because he is my coach and emotional support player, I guess. Um, so a couple of things that I definitely need to do. I think I should consume more streams, like you were talking about, and watching people make moves.
Hmm.
I think that's one. Another thing is, I think for my qualifying, I know that levels 11 through X, like 16, 17, whatever, are my weaker levels. I'm very much a 0 to 10 gal. Some
Hmm.
people are 0 to 20 speed runners, and some people are more 0 to 10. I'm definitely more 0 to 10 just because I don't have a lot of time and I get really upset if I play a run for 40 minutes and then, you know, level 19 just sends me off.
Hmm.
So I think practicing levels, levels 11 through 15 are going to be really important for me. And also for me, um, minimizing the drill clear is something that I need to keep focused on and be vigilant about. Because when I'm tired or when I'm sort of have decision fatigue, as someone I think said in Discord, I tend to just do the drill clear and it falls so slowly.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, minimize that. Uh, Yeah, I think recently I've been pretty inconsistent, just because going back to school has made me very busy and focused on a lot of things.
Hmm.
So also just trying to find calm spaces and play in calmer moments. Really, yeah, yeah, those are a couple ways.
Yeah. I can definitely see that too, especially when it comes to like your qualifier or your bracket matches. When you only get the one shot, finding a way to enter that headspace and uh, clear the mind a little bit uh, would definitely help.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is you've seen a couple of runs in the brackets where someone got out of round one or round two for the first time, and then they made a really deep run into the bracket.
Hmm.
So, for example, I did it. I think I hadn't won a match, and then I got to the finals, I think, or the semis or something like that. And Swang did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for if you go in with not a lot of expectation, you're calmer, and it's I think it's easier to do well. Whereas if you're really stressed out or you feel that you've got something to prove or you're just super anxious about it, you can do those like double flips by accident or scooch things too far over because you're sort of got this like adrenaline going. I think calming down and and just saying, "Wow, everyone's good, so I'm probably gonna lose." Like, and you can let go a little bit. I'll try to take that my own advice, but I don't. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it's tough advice. And I think it's tough for anyone. I mean, that's definitely something I struggle with is I put a lot of pressure on myself prior to the match. I really want to perform well. I really want to show my stuff, and it often just leads to missed flips and brain fart moments, you know.
Yeah, what's really interesting is honestly, like with your PBs and all this progress that you've made and doing so well in the Versus tournament too, like I think your moment is going to come in the bracket. I think you haven't that calm mindset that you can achieve when you're just regularly streaming. And once you figure out how to do that, it'll be like, well, I won't want to play you. I already don't want to play you, but like I really won't want to play you.
Well, I hope it's coming. I hope so. This is always my uh, least favorite part of the month, I think, is when I've run my qualifier, I think I'm sticking with it, and now I just have to wait. I have to wait until the qualifiers close, until the tournament comes. Uh, it really is the highlight of my month each month. Just getting to compete against other players and interact with this community. I don't know how it is for you, but maybe your life is slightly more
Yeah.
involved and interesting.
Oh my gosh. Well, no, I certainly like it's a clear your calendar kind of moment for me. It's
Mm.
just like, oh, can't hang out. I'm gonna be playing Dr. Mario this weekend. But I agree with you that this moment where you've qualled, you're not sure if you're gonna go again. You're gonna wait for other people, but at the same time, you know that there are a bunch of people waiting until like the very last possible moment to snipe into the bracket.
Mm.
You know, because people often do that, and it's a great liberating thing when you just go into the bracket on the Friday night or whatever before, and you just say what the hey. But yeah, it's really nerve wracking. So for example, I just went earlier, and I did fine. Like I had a good qual. I did better than Mr. Octagon, so that was that was what I needed to do. Um, we can talk about that, but I'm like, well, that doesn't necessarily reflect my best, but do I want to risk it and get lower? Um, or am I saying, well, I don't have the highest seed, but I'm pretty sure that anyone opposite me is roughly of the same skill. I'm making that calculus in my head right now, so
Hmm.
I know it's nerve-wracking.
Well, Savage, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to maybe even playing you in the Dr. Mario Monthly at the end of the month. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next week in Dr. Mario and in life, bless RNG.